crazy. It's crazy. First of all, I couldn't even believe she answered the phone. I mean, my God, I was freaking out. Like, I mean, look, I have a history. I'm in sales. I used to be a recruiter. I'm very comfortable calling people on the phone, but it always blows my mind when they actually answer. Like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm talking to you right now. Tell me everything. What was Studio 54 like? Tell me about the 70s. Oh my God. Oh, I don't have a teacup, but I wish I did. Like, insert picture of me sipping tea because I got some tea. I had more questions about this brand than any other brand since I started this channel. And the makeup brand is called Il Makiage. I am sure you've heard of it. They are everywhere all over social media. So many people reach out to me and they're like, what do you think of this makeup brand? What do you think of this foundation? I'll be full transparency. I have not tried the new foundation. It's not something I'm going to try. I do know the brand. So I remember Il Makiage when it was its original iteration of the brand. And so when I started getting asked questions about this, I could tell that something was different. And it's not just the way that the logo of the name is and the marketing itself. Like, I could tell something was different. And so I did some investigating, and I was right. Like, it is the same company, but it's not the same company. I actually talked to Ilana Harkavi. I called her. I found her phone number and I called her and we had a conversation about the company, and I could not believe it because it is, first of all, I just want to take a moment to appreciate the origins of this company. Founded in 1972 by a woman who was already a pretty well-known makeup artist and, like, famous in her own makeup artist community in her own right, but still starting a company as a woman in the 70s, in the 80s, and the 90s, and the 2000s. I mean, my God, like, she was an icon. This also was the first makeup company that was ever started by a makeup artist. So this predates MAC, this predates Bobbi Brown. Like, everything that has come after was on the back of Ilana and Il Makiage. It was the first company to ever be started by a makeup artist for makeup artists. Her husband was a chemist, and they had a warehouse in Long Island City in New York. And she formulated new products that weren't available on the market. She had innovations. She told me she created the first window eyeshadow packaging ever on the market that didn't exist. That when she was looking for eyeshadows and trying to go through all the samples, she's having to open each container up. Now, I did find pictures of packaging from the 40s and 50s that were in clear, probably plastic or lucite, I guess, I don't know, packaging. But that doesn't mean that Ilana didn't make an innovation in, like, individual eyeshadow package. She had innovations around eye pencils and just a variety of other products that didn't exist on the market. Aaron Parsons has had a couple videos that have featured original Il Makiage products. One of them was their color books, and how she talks about how pigmented they are and how it's like the best red eyeshadow even to this day. She's never been able to find one. Ilana talked to me about the pigmentation too, and how her products were innovative and how pigmented they were, that everything at the time was very muted and watered down and heavy on metallic, and hers were not. And, it helped that her husband was a chemist, that they could make these. What they also did was private label. Now, some of you may not be familiar with the term private label, but essentially it's where a company makes a product and sells it, instead of B2C, business to consumer, they sell it to other businesses and then put those businesses' labels on the product. It's not a secret, it's not unpopular, it's fairly common still, but the tea, children. The company that she private labeled was MAC. She told me, I was doing research, and I found on a website that was an old blog dedicated to abandoned warehouses. And these people will go around and take pictures of these old warehouses. Well, somebody found the old Il Makiage warehouse in Long Island City before it was destroyed. And in the warehouse, there were still press packets and advertising photos. And so they put those photos up on the website. And one of the things they found was a photo of Ilana Harkavi talking to two men. It is two guys named Frank. And they are the Franks who founded MAC. And so when I was talking to Ilana, I asked her, is this true? Were you talking to them? Is that who's in that picture? And she's like, oh yeah. And I said, did you sell? There's a very obscure rumor going around that you sold Il Makiage to them for Canada. And she said, oh no, I didn't sell my product. I sold them my products. I private labeled MAC's first products. Now, if you go to the MAC website, if you search anywhere online, there is an origin story around the brand MAC, and it's supposedly, they're making products in bathrooms, and one of the Franks had a salon and they're putting products in there. Apparently that is not true. The first MAC products were private label Il Makiage. Now, does it matter? No, it doesn't. And is there any way to verify this? No. Other than the fact that the woman who made the brand told me this. She told me it on the phone. Now, she could be lying. I don't think she was, though. And I think it's pretty incredible that this woman not only started her own brand, but the first products for MAC, which became one of the biggest cosmetic companies in the world, were actually her products, too. I mean, it also gets to me on a personal level because I think it speaks to the lack of recognition that a woman who was a pioneer in this space did not receive. Like, we should all know her name in the makeup community, and I seriously doubt many people do know her name. And she is a visionary. It's just incredible. Now, back to modern day, they've bought the name. I'm sure they bought the old formulas, but it is a very different company now. Either they bought it in 2014 or 2018. I think they bought it in 2014, and then they did a big digital launch in 2018. At some point, there was major investment from a private equity firm, which is the consumer products division of LVMH in their private equity division. Now, why does that matter? Well, it doesn't, except it does. Because typically when private equity gets involved in anything, be it real estate, movie theaters, technology companies, consumer product goods, it doesn't matter. Like, their whole objective is to optimize that company now for revenue. And they are going to strip it down to the studs. They're no longer, it's not like an owner-operator company anymore where they're trying to make the best products possible. It's a different goal. And I'm not saying all private equity is bad. But it does change a company. It just does. The parent company now of Il Makiage is an Israeli company called Oddity. And when Oddity went public in, I believe, 2023, one of the big IPOs of the year, actually, because there just hasn't been a big IPO market, a significant portion, hundreds of millions of dollars of the revenue from the IPO went to that private equity firm. And they did not reinvest. Only about $60 million of the revenue from the IPO was invested back into the company. The CEO himself sold over 200 million shares. So that tells me, this is a money-making operation. Not that most companies aren't. Let's be clear. All companies are looking to make money. But they are no longer thinking the same way Ilana was when she founded the company in 1972. They are heavily driven by machine learning and Gen AI. So, they're no longer like, what products do makeup artists need? Let's make those. They're like, which hashtags are trending and what do we think we can sell to consumers on TikTok? Let's make that product. Look, there's so many good foundations out there. We have such choice when it comes to formulations and products now. There's absolutely no reason to buy gimmicky, TikTok-y stuff. Sometimes, look, every now and then, I'd love to be wrong on this one, but Il Makiage for me currently is a brand that I would skip. But I still hold the brand, the original brand, in reverence and like such deep respect for what Ilana did. So that's the tea, children. Oh.